It is time for another food hack, and this time we're gonna stack it up against my family's maple syrup. Hey guys, Kira here from 50 Shades of Mom, back to share another food hack with you guys. And today I'm super excited because we're gonna stack a food hack against my family's maple syrup. Now, each time I share a food hack, and if you guys are new, I'll put the entire playlist of food hacks down in the description box below. But each time we do a food hack, I remind you guys of the 4 categories that are in the book and what category we're doing today. Well, the OCD in me made a complete mistake. So the book starts off with breakfast hacks, it goes into snack hacks, then it goes into meal hacks, and then side dish hacks. Well, somewhere along the lines, I missed a breakfast hack, which is super crazy because breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. So going through this book and trying to pick out the breakfast hack that I want to share, I stumbled upon a syrup recipe. And it starts by saying, put away every other store-bought syrup, whether it be pure maple syrup or whether it be Mrs. Butterworth's. This syrup is the best syrup you'll ever have, and you'll never want to put anything else on pancakes. Well, if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that my family has a maple farm. So it's not exactly my family, it's my mother-in-law's fiance, but they've been together for like 20 years. So the entire time that I've been with my husband, their family is their farm, is the only place where I've gotten my syrup forever. I'm kind of pretty accustomed to this syrup and I'm kind of a snob about it. So when I read this and they said like, no other, you'll never want any other syrup, I was like, all right, this is the hack that we're gonna go for because this is touching somewhere close to home. So I'm really excited to get down to the counter and see how good their syrup stacks up against my family's farm. So let me take you down to the counter and let's see how these two compare. Okay guys, so here are the ingredients that we need to make the syrup. I got my family syrup bottle standing in the back as a contender, and I have our amazing food hack books. So when I was looking through the breakfast hacks, I stopped on where it said the syrup you should be pouring on everything, which is page 11. And again, I was super intrigued by this. So it says this syrup tastes like melted butter caramel. You'll never go back to that gross fake pancake syrup again. Pair it with banana pancakes and you'll swear you're eating bananas Foster. Now I should have known right then and there that it was going to be more like caramel and not regular syrup, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So we needed whole cultured buttermilk, 1 stick of regular butter, a cup of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a cup of brown sugar, and then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And that's it. So the instructions ask us to start by melting all the ingredients but the baking soda and the vanilla. So we're going to throw all those into the pan and get it to boil. So I started off by turning the heat to medium. I just didn't want this to overflow because it said it'll foam up once it starts to melt down. So I put the stick of butter in and then the 1.5 cups of the buttermilk, and then I put in the cup of the white sugar and then the cup of the brown sugar, and then I just kind of sat there and let it melt naturally, as slow as it needed to. I tried to give it a good stir with that stick of butter was good and unmelted still, so it took a little bit of time before all of that melted down, but like after like a good maybe 20 minutes it was all melted, and then it started to foam and bubble like that. And then it just started to get larger. And then it started to get larger. And I was like, whoa, this thing's going to overflow. So I pulled it off the heat and I followed the next step of instructions, which was put in 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then it asks you to put in the 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then it wants you to whisk it all up. And it does say it will foam up. But this was crazy. It was like something out of a movie. I was like, I felt like I was being attacked by foam. It started to overflow over the side of the pot. I was like, oh boy, I probably should have done this in something bigger. Definitely didn't realize that this pan was too shallow for this. But then I just let this sit for a very long period of time. It said it needed to be completely cool. So I let this sit for like 4 hours, you guys, before all the foam like settled and it looked like something that I could pour. So I did use the whisk one more time because it kind of separated while it cooled. So I whisked it up really good, and then I put it in this Tupperware to put in the refrigerator overnight. Now I'm going to use the spoon right here to show you guys the consistency. So it definitely reminded me of syrup. It doesn't look like syrup. That buttermilk made it a lot creamier, similar to, like they said, a caramel. It is thick enough to coat the spoon, so it does remind me of a syrup. You're going to see me here give it a taste, like out of, now that it was cool. Don't get me wrong, you guys. This is delicious, but I'm not even going to make a true assessment at this point. We're going to stack it up against the syrup the next morning when I'm making the kids breakfast. So now here we are the next morning, and I have some French toast. This is French toast that I meal prepped that I had in the freezer for the kids. So I pulled some out. This is actually the one that I made out of the panettone that we made on Thanksgiving with that panettone chocolate chip bread. So the blue plate rather is Mason, and the pink plate is Maya. Now I'm going to put the regular syrup on Mason's just because he's wicked picky, and I feel like he would be better with the regular syrup just in case the other syrup wasn't that good. So I put the regular syrup on Mason's, and then I put this new syrup on Maya's because she can eat anything. Now when I went to pour the syrup, you can see that it's separated again, so I needed to give it like a really good stir. And then once I gave it like a good stir, then it came back to that consistency that I had, last night before I closed the Tupperware. And so I spooned some of this on Maya's, and then I stepped back and thought, I feel like syrup is usually better when it's warm or at least room temperature. That's why at IHOP they leave it on the table. So I decided to actually throw both of these in the microwave for 30 seconds each plate, just to kind of heat up the syrup, let it disperse. It gets congealed when it's cold. So I wanted it to be warm and to thin out over the French toast, and then I was going to taste it and sample it with the kids. So the kids were excited. You're going to see they're like right here, like, how is it? Which one's better? They were like, ooh, let's taste test. They were super excited. So all three of us did a little taste test, and we were all under the same assumption. This syrup is good, you guys. It was delicious on the French toast. And honestly, I can see myself and the kids eating this on plenty of different things. But when it comes to syrup, I should have known that this was more like it said, more like a caramel, they should have never said it stacks up against regular syrup, like you'll want to put this on your pancakes or on everything, because to me, pancakes mean maple syrup. Now, I know that that's not true for everybody. You can go to IHOP and get blueberry syrup, strawberry syrup. There's so many different things. But for me, breakfast means like a good hearty maple syrup. And I just feel like if I'm going to eat pancakes or French toast, I would definitely rather just regular maple syrup. So in this particular stack up, I'm going to rule that the regular pure maple syrup from my family's farm is definitely the winner. But don't get me wrong, this stuff is still good enough to use, you guys. We have a whole Tupperware full of it in the refrigerator, and I'm already thinking about things that I can use it for, like what kind of creative recipes could I use this for, because it's actually better than caramel, even though it compares it to that. It's thick and has that consistency, but it's not overwhelmingly thick and sticky like caramel would be, and it's not overwhelmingly sweet. It's just the perfect sweetness as far as that is concerned. So I'm already ready to find other recipes. This will not go to waste by far, so stay tuned for what I use this for. But again, when it comes down to regular breakfast, I think we're going to go with the good old maple syrup. So you guys tell me, comment down below, tell me what your favorite syrup is for your breakfast items and let me know. Am I crazy? Do you think that you would love this on your stuff, or do you think that regular maple syrup is the way to go? If you guys enjoyed this video, or if you're going to try this recipe, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. If you guys are new here, hit the subscribe button. I share all sorts of food hacks here on this channel, and for everybody else, guys, I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.